Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Where No Pod Has Gone Before. I'm your host, Julian.
And I'm your co-host, Titan.
And today we are going to be discussing, or rather trying to figure out, a 2004 independent sci-fi film called Primer, written, produced, directed by, edited by, sound by, starring Shane Carruth. But I want to start right away by putting particular emphasis on this being an independent film. And
Yes.
not so much just that it had a really small budget, $7,000. That's kind of the famous figure for this film.
Yeah.
Not just so much that, but everything else that comes with being an independent film. And as we go through, I kind of want to point out how all these things really add up to make this film what it is,
Yeah.
and why it's such a different experience from what we're used to with big budget sci-fi films.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I mean, I'd be very interested in that because when I'd heard about it and I hadn't realized that it was such a small scale independent
yeah,
film. So it was quite a sort of surprise, and I was like, oh, maybe this isn't going to be so good, But I think it turned out to actually be quite the opposite,
yeah.
where it was actually quite surprising because of the type of film that it was.
Yes, exactly. Um, but yeah, I think we should start where we always start, where we just talk about our own
Yeah.
experiences with the film. And for me, this is a rare thing. I see you rolling your eyes. That's your camera
Oh,
setup.
yeah, my camera set up anyway. We'll manage.
Yeah, but in my experience, these days it's very rare for me to have an almost fully blind film viewing experience,
Right, yes.
where usually I'm aware of a film, I'm aware of its status within like a genre, or this is
Yeah.
considered one of the worst of this director's career, or one of the best, or this
Exactly.
film
Even if you
has a
haven't
reputation.
watched it, you've
Yeah,
sort of heard about it somehow. Yeah.
yeah, you know a little bit about it. You're kind of
Yeah.
keyed in before going. You kind of know what to look out for.
Yeah.
And all I knew about Primer was that it was a kind of cult sci-fi film,
Right.
and that it was a little bit of a mind bender. And
Right.
that's all I knew. And then you chose it to talk about for the pod. And I
Mm.
was okay, sure, let's do it. And
Yeah.
I dive in, and immediately I was like transfixed by it. Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
Right.
I was just wrapped up in the whole thing, and I was really eager to see what about it was so,
Yeah.
I guess, confusing.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And then obviously first viewing, I feel like my brain is soup
Yeah.
afterwards.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I have had a rewatch right before recording this, as I believe you have too.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
so I think, much like the characters with their doubles, I'm going to be speaking about this film with kind of two lanes, a first experience and then a
Yes.
rewatch experience, and how those
Exactly.
compare.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what about your experience with the film?
Yeah, I mean, so I was trying to remember how I'd heard about this film because it's been sort of there in my library on my list for a few years now. And I remembered where I sort of found out about it is I stumbled across some list at some stage, which was literally like 10 sci-fi films for scientists. All right. It was something like
Right, yeah.
these films have got real science in them. If you're a scientist, you should watch these films because it's not nonsense science. It's actual real science. It's actually really difficult. And then I'd read something like, I think this was like the last item on the list, and it was like, this should not be a casual viewing. Like, make sure that this is not for relaxation on a Friday night.
No.
Like, make sure you really are locked into this film. And I was like, okay, cool. So I got it, and it's sort of been sitting there. And most of my movie watching experiences are relaxing on a Friday night. It's sort of you
Yeah.
sit down and you're like, oh, let me put on some film. So it never sort of felt right. I was always like, no, I think I need to give this film a little bit more time and respect. So I was always like putting it off for a future date. And I mean, I think I'm glad I did, because I think if I just watched this without having like a podcast where I knew that I had to figure it out and actually speak about it, I would have been like, Jesus, okay, this is a little bit much for me. Maybe I might not have actually given it the time to try and figure it out. Because the first time I watched it, I think you get about halfway through the film and everything's still fine. They sort of they don't explain much, but you sort of follow. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, this is slightly different to what I'm used to, but like, cool, I'm still there. And then like the third quarter starts getting confusing, but you're like, okay, we Doctor Who fans, we used to non-linear timey wimey stuff.
Yeah.
But you're like, yeah, cool. And then I mean, rewatching the last quarter of the film, it's almost like I didn't watch it the first time. I was like, oh my god, like I was seeing stuff. I was like, I
Yeah.
didn't
It's like a
see this.
revelation.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
even catch this earlier. Like there was stuff that I completely missed the first time. It was like I wasn't even really watching that last quarter of the film. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a film that you've got to watch more than once, I think, to even get a grasp on it.
No, for sure. And thank God it's only 77 minutes long. That makes it very palatable,
Mm.
I guess. Um,
I mean, I think it was Contact when we watched Contact. It did take me like, I don't know, 3 hours to watch this thing because I kept pausing and then doing research and
yeah.
drawing diagrams and.
No, but
but
with this film,
yeah,
the first viewing was no notes whatsoever. Like at least I knew that. I was wise
right, yeah,
enough
yeah.
not
I
to
tried to I tried to take a
try.
few, but there were like
Yeah.
6 lines or something, and
Yeah,
then
no, first viewing was like, this is, let me just have an experience,
yeah,
and
right,
then I'll have like the bare bones to go back
yeah,
like at least I knew that.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
between the two of us, we'll really try to unpack this film, and
We'll
maybe
try our
even
damnedest, yeah.
not even just to unpack what the hell goes on in a logical way, but maybe uh, to tease out some themes, some actual themes from this film.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah,
um,
exactly. Because I mean, I was really interested in all the science aspect
of
of this
course,
film, but
yeah.
I mean, there were beautiful sort of shots and sort of
Hmm.
music and beautiful filmmaking. I mean, really, sort of, you can see it's like someone who's just passionate about it, making
Yeah,
a little film, you know.
yeah.
So no, it was really cool.
But I think that leads me to speaking about the director Shane Carruth. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah,
But
something like that.
he was a maths major and working
Right.
as a software developer before kind of getting decided he wanted to be a writer, wrote a bit, and then realized more interested in images. So
Okay.
tried to be a filmmaker, and then was working on this idea. And um, he described learning about filmmaking with like no knowledge whatsoever as a
Okay.
math problem. You know, the math problem, it can seem
Right.
very difficult, but once you strip it to its core pieces, you know,
It's
you go
first
deeper in.
principles, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, everything seems more solvable. So then he
Yeah.
went and looked at directing and storyboarding and figured out how to work sound and
Okay.
looked at lighting and stuff like that. Um, and had full creative control over this film
Right.
because of it, being an independent film.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I mean, just as an introduction to uh, you know him and the making of this film, I think it's time to get into it
I think
properly.
so. Can't put it
So
off any longer.
yeah, so Primer, of course, from 2004, was directed by Shane Carruth, starring him himself in the main role of Aaron and David Sullivan as Abe.
Yeah, and let me
And
just, I just have a comment right there. I mean, for such a confusing movie, I mean, I think they could have chosen better names. I mean, I kept being like, Abe, Aaron, like they're both start with A, like who the
yeah,
hell is who, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
then reading stuff online, like, okay, they both, I don't know who's who, you know, like who's got the dark hair, you know?
yeah. A
Yeah.
little confession from my first viewing. I got
Mm.
about 50 minutes into the film, and then I was like, "Wait, he's not called Philip? I thought that he was Philip. I thought it was Philip and Abe."
Right.
And yeah,
Right.
so
Yeah.
that's where I was the first time. I couldn't even get the name straight. Um,
Well,
but
that's nothing new for us, I suppose. Yeah? I
yeah,
mean, we're halfway through the season of Star Trek, and we're still
yeah,
doing the same thing.
exactly. But the film opens with kind of establishing shots of a garage and a voiceover narration addressed to a mysterious person. This is how this all
Yeah.
started. Yeah, it's all very mysterious. Um, I don't know if you had anything to say about that, but for me, it was just like I feel like I have to pay attention already because of it.
No, exactly. I mean, it reminded me of, I think it was the Imitation Game that started similar. It was sort of like, are you paying attention? You know, that was like the very first line of the film. And this was almost, it was something similar. It was like, I won't be repeating this. I won't be calling you again. So, like,
Yes.
this is the way things are, you know? And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, geez, okay, we're getting right into it. And yeah, I think a lot of the film is like that. There isn't really, you know, apart from the narration,
Hmm.
there's no one guiding you through it. You just sort of dropped into stuff, and
Yes.
it's like, okay, figure it out. You know, we're not going to explain what this is. It's just deal with it. Um, so yeah, it does sort of shock you into paying attention immediately. And then on the second viewing, I definitely said, okay, but who is he speaking to? You know, because
Yes.
like then I got it. I was like, okay, this is Aaron
This is
speaking,
a version
but
of Aaron speaking to Aaron,
well, yeah,
right?
exactly. I think so. I think speaking
Yes.
to Aaron. I mean, I read some argument that he was speaking to Abe, but I think that's nonsense. I think he has to be speaking to Aaron. Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's try to establish this from the beginning rather than
Yeah.
starting at the end. But in this, there are three Aarons and two Abes, as I understand it.
Well, I think there are at least three Aarons because there is
Yeah.
a scene where he says, I think it's like right at the end, with the party scene with the shotgun and all of that, where he says, I'd like to believe that he got it on the next go. You know, that he did it one more time and everything worked out.
Right.
And we see it working out. So we assume, okay, he did get it on the next go. But there
Right.
isn't a guarantee for that. So there could be 20 versions of Aaron, and they've all gone through the same thing that the Aaron who's narrating has gone through. So, you know,
Yes.
maybe the original Aaron got 20 bloody phone calls on the day, like, okay, no, actually, to ignore what the previous dude said.
Oh
But yeah,
man.
I mean, I think it's sort of, it suggests that there might be more complexity. But yes, I think there's essentially, at the end, there are three different versions of Aaron and two of Abe. Yeah,
There's definitely two Abes.
there's definitely two. I mean,
Yeah.
there's two of them since the very first time they travel, right? Um, well,
I'm
I
just saying,
mean,
like, when we get to the end and everything is laid
yes,
out,
yeah, yeah,
because the end is affecting the beginning, we have to mention it.
exactly. There's definitely two versions of both of them, and
Yeah.
then yeah, I do think that there's a third, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But now we're in the kitchen and we have four men who work day jobs in tech companies, various tech positions,
yeah,
and are moonlighting and making little inventions, trying to make patents and trying to start up something in that way. And it's clear that they're each taking turns. So
right. Yes.
I believe someone it's his name Robert. I believe his name. It's his
What the
turn.
other two guys? Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't. One of them was Philip. Yeah. I
Yeah,
remember
I
that.
mean this is also like really reminding me of all those stories you hear of like early tech companies. So you of like Steve
Exactly. Yeah.
Jobs and Bill Gates and Bezos. They all started their companies in their garages and
Yeah, exactly. Because they sort of, I love the, you know, the outfits the whole time with the short sleeve white shirts and the
yes,
ties. It's sort of like this boring engineer job, you know. So you can sort of see that they're these boring engineers who want more. They want to like make
yes,
something. They want to like make a difference. They want to have some sort of impact. So they obviously they're working their worker bee jobs, and they're trying to come up with something that sets them apart. Yeah.
yeah, and it's also clear that they've been screwed out of a patent by
Yeah.
someone named Platt, which I think
Right.
we need to hold on to a little bit as well. But
Right.
they're agreeing on what to make next, right? And then so now we're
Yeah.
going to work in the garage, and we're going around town collecting different pieces and everything. And immediately, it's the way that they speak is very very different from a traditional Hollywood film because they're not
Yes.
speaking to an audience; they're speaking to each other on each other's levels. So
Right.
don't if you don't have the qualifications
Yes.
that they do, you're not going to follow. But
And
this is the
I mean,
argument.
I don't really think that you're supposed to, right? It's
No,
sort of
yeah, I
just
mean,
supposed to set the scene, but it's yeah.
it's a feeling of authenticity of this world.
Yes.
You
Exactly.
listen to them like, okay, these
Exactly.
guys are experts. It's when you watch a medical drama on TV, you don't understand what
Yeah.
they're saying, but the way they're saying it convinces you that this is true.
Yeah.
Um, and I suppose like this is one of the things um, that being an independent film, being low budget, allows you to do. You don't have
Yeah.
producers breathing down your necks, telling you to dumb things down for an audience. You're not trying to have this mass
Right.
appeal. So,
Yes.
how many times have we seen the film where the hero is blue collar, ordinary guy, and they're trying to explain some sci-fi thing to him, and he doesn't understand, and he goes in English, four eyes, and then they get out a piece of paper
Yeah.
and then they do something
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
they
Yeah. Yeah.
understand it, right? But it's done for
Exactly.
the audience. There's none
Yeah.
of that here. So that's
Yes.
one of the
Exactly.
things where independent filmmaking really shapes how this film
Yeah.
um, is, I
Because
guess.
I suppose I suppose most films have test audiences, right? Whereas this one probably wouldn't have
For
had that.
studio films, yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't have had an audience which comes back and says those first few scenes were rubbish. We
Yeah,
didn't know what was going on, and then
yeah.
the producers are like, no, no, can't have this.
And I'm just
Yeah, it's
imagining
a
what a test audience would think of this film. Would it even get
yeah. Well,
released? I mean,
well, I mean, look what I think that's what test audiences did to Blade Runner, right?
yes, yes,
I
yeah,
mean, the
great
work print
example.
is
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
is the initial one, and then they were like, nope, we can't have this, and then they came
yeah,
with narration and stuff as well.
exactly,
Um,
yeah,
so yeah, I think it's similar to that. It doesn't lead you by the hand.
yeah,
This
yeah,
film
yeah.
at all. You're not supposed to. I think they tried to make a film which you're not supposed to really ever understand, even on multiple watchings. You're supposed to, because I did keep thinking. I tried to draw my own timeline of this thing, and eventually I've had to get one from the internet
Yeah.
because mine is a complete disaster. I mean, I've got arrows going everywhere because I'm like, oh no, he actually went there, and then so there's supposed to be things that you keep thinking, oh, maybe I've still been fooled, on
Yes,
my last watch.
but also putting you in the position of these characters where things are going to get confusing for them, right?
Right.
They're not
Yeah.
clearly understanding everything, I think, all the time. So it's trying to
No.
put you in that kind of foggy headspace, I think,
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and
I think it gives quite a sort of real world feeling of science as well. Is that
yes,
it's not like it's not like they went out. They're like, okay, we're going to make a time machine.
yeah,
They were trying to make
exactly.
something else, and then they're like, this is funny. Like, well, what's happening here? Like, we don't understand this. Let's test it a little bit. And oh, now we've destroyed it. We've blown the fuse or whatever. So I think that's sort of it was quite a very authentic feeling of how this sort of thing would happen.
Yeah. And I just have another thing to say with regards to independent filmmaking. So it's at
Mm.
this point in the film, on the first time, where I was really struck by how like clean, I guess, the directing was. I mean, so this film, I think, just like looks fantastic, and
Yeah, I agree.
there's a real like high level of like formal control, and every shot feels like assured and intentional,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
nothing feels superfluous.
Right.
And that's
Yeah,
a real
exactly. I mean, there were scenes where, even on my second watching, at the beginning of the scene, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this scene. I think this is just a filler. Like
yeah,
there's no reason for this scene. And by the end of the scene, I was like, no, no, this is there
yeah,
for a reason. It's telling us something. Every single scene in that movie is designed and curated and thought about.
yes. And I mean, that's an incredible, for such a dense piece of work, it's an incredible piece of like narrative economy that you get,
Right.
75 minutes, 77 minutes, and all the stuff is packed in there, and there's like
Yeah.
nothing's wasted.
No.
And
Yeah. Exactly.
I believe that they had 2 minutes that they cut out. So of
Oh,
all the
no
footage
ways.
they had 80 minutes and they cut out 2 minutes, and then they were left with this because
Wow. Okay.
apparently the $7,000 was mainly spent on film stock, right?
Right.
Buying
Right.
film and developing film, and that was it.
Right. Yeah. All
Um,
right. Well, then I want an extended director's cut. I mean, those two. You know what the 2 minutes of film in Blade
yeah,
Runner, for example, could do? I mean, come on, man. They could change the entire film.
yeah, but that's also where you see how a small budget and these constraints have
Yeah.
pushed this film to be shaped in this way, right?
Right.
And
Right.
when you have so little money, what else can't you do? You can't hire professional actors, right? So you have all these non-professional actors doing this, and that
Yeah.
really especially on the second, it really added this feeling for me of like this is all like on the fringes, right? This is not like the main
Yeah.
lane of science. These aren't the main guys. They're kind of out in the
No, exactly. Yeah,
out on the
yeah.
side of everything.
They're the
Um,
people who, I mean, that's why I mentioned already the way that they dress. You know, they're the sort of, they're just employees. They're just
yeah,
someone that you don't give a second look to. They're not actually going to achieve anything, but they're trying. They're there in the garage, they're tinkering, and they actually happen to do something.
yeah. I mean, well, let me just burn through all my points then about the independent filmmaking side of things because you brought up the other one.
Yeah,
This is the
yeah.
costuming.
Let's go. Right,
They're pretty much dressed the same way in every scene, which again just adds
right.
that disorienting feeling. You never, you know, no
Yeah,
one's wearing a pink scarf, so that you know that that's the double, and then you know the guy without the
right.
pink scarf is
Yes,
not the double. They're always
yes.
wearing their business outfits.
Yeah, right.
Um,
So you never know. Yeah, okay. That's a.
it's always disorienting. You never
There's
know
one
where you are
scene.
when you are because
Yeah,
they
there's
always
one
look the
scene where
same.
he's wearing a hoodie though.
Yeah, but the
Um,
hoodie is very intentional, of course.
exactly, and it's brief, but for the rest of the movie, yeah, it's because I think, I mean, I suppose we're still getting to that point in the film, but I think there were some sequences in this film where watching it again, they are supposed to not be from the same timeline. You're watching it and you think you're watching one timeline, but it's actually spliced. You're watching bits from
Right,
different timelines as if it's occurring in one timeline.
right.
Um, so yeah, I'll mention that when we get to it. But yeah, that's obviously made possible by the fact that they're always just wearing
Yeah, I
their
mean, and
ordinary
obviously
costumes. Yeah.
yeah, you can't have a costume department or something on that level.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the other
Yeah.
thing is, um, you can't have professional lights. So everything is all the lighting is from the environment. It's the hallway lights. It's available natural light outside. It's you know the lights in the kitchen or whatever,
Right.
and
Yeah.
um, that added like a real kind of feeling of I guess what did I write about it? Everything kind of looks flat and cold, and you have these kind of
Right. Yeah.
harsh interiors
Yeah,
that
you
really
don't feel
feel.
like you're watching a movie, do you? You sort of feel
No,
like
no, no. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
almost like found footage. You know,
yeah,
it's sort of like someone's recorded it on a video camera almost.
yeah. Well, except
Yeah.
for all the framing being so intentional,
Well,
but
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
kind of
It's exactly, yeah,
like the coloring and all of
yeah.
that is
The
not.
feel of it, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I think it's a really great visual film, um,
yeah, absolutely,
and you know in the future that's going to be something that keeps me coming back to this.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
think so.
so back to the film. They're working on building a device, and my question for you is, what are they building? Because this is not clear to me.
Yes,
Did you
right.
find this out?
I did find it out through a little bit of research, but I did sort of start getting it only on the second watch because the first watch I didn't understand, and a little bit of a scientific uh, I don't know point that I was pedantic about is that they should have had units on their measurement device because they were showing like 7.6, 7.5, or whatever, and I was
Was
like,
but that
oh,
was
did it have units?
decagrams, right?
Oh, okay. You see, I didn't even see the units. I
They,
thought
no, but
I was
they said it.
okay. They said it. You see, it should have had some sort of unit next to it because what I've decided is I mean, I don't know if this is what they were trying to make, but what they were finding out was happening with the machine is that there was a decrease in mass. They had created something that was decreasing the mass or the weight of, or no, I suppose it has to be the mass. It's something that was decreasing the mass of whatever object they put into it. So that's just what they were doing. They were like, "Hey, this is going to be a device that decreases mass." Because then they mention they thought about the applications. It could be in air travel, in satellite launches, all
Yeah.
of that sort of stuff. So that it implies that they had tried to invent something that was going to decrease the mass of an object slightly, which obviously increases efficiency, makes costs cheaper, etc., etc. And then I think, and this is dubious science because I think it's not quite right, but it's a sort of a logical science fiction step. Is that relativity tells us that when you are either close to a really massive object or when you're traveling really fast, your mass increases and your personal time slows down. So you then travel forwards in time.
Right.
Okay. So to distill that down, an increase in mass makes you travel forwards in time. But I think what this film is trying to do is saying, okay, but then a decrease in mass makes us travel backwards in time. And that's not actually true. According to our sort of current understanding, traveling back in time is probably not really possible. At least from what we understand right now and what we have, what we would conceivably be able to do. We would be able to accelerate forwards in time, but traveling backwards in time is difficult. So that's the leap that this film has taken. Is
Right.
they've said, right, we've made a device that decreases the mass of an object, but these are just engineers after all. They don't understand science. And just
Wow.
thought I'd take a little dig there. Um, they didn't understand or consider the implications of changing the mass of an object would actually affect the space time interaction of that object, or the interaction of that object with space time. So by decreasing the mass of an object, they have affected the way that it experiences time.
Okay.
I think, at least that's my take.
So that's a little bit of a firmer foundation, I think, for me going
Mm,
forward.
mm.
Understanding that. Um, but it's still not clear what they were trying, what the original idea was in the kitchen, right? But this is
No,
just the
no.
consequence.
I mean, I'm not even sure. I think some of those ideas that they were speaking about in the kitchen were not necessarily supposed to be the same thing. I think they
Yeah, yeah,
were
yeah,
trying a whole lot of different things. I also think they were sort of working in teams, right? It was Abe and Aaron, and then the other two guys,
yeah.
and they might have been dabbling in different things. And this is just what Abe and Aaron were working on at that moment. I think they were trying to sort of do something with mass. I think that is kind of what they were trying to see
Yeah.
if they could do.
Right.
And then they actually managed to do it, and they tried to then sort of increase that effect because it decreased it by, it went from 7.6 to 7.5 or whatever. And they're like,
Yeah.
okay, let's see if we can increase this effect. So
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think that's
so
what they were originally trying, at
yeah.
least.
I mean, so on that, they have the completed device, and uh, Aaron puts his right hand. I'm going to emphasize that he puts his right hand in this
Ah, okay,
field,
right.
I guess,
Mm.
and Abe puts both his hands in that field, right? And then that's when they, after which they contain it with this whatever this fabrication that they've made, and they turn it on, and someone's underneath the ping pong table shaking everything. It's really great, like low
Yeah.
budget stuff, and um, it settles down, then it starts humming, um,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it's clear that something's happening. We're not uh, quite sure what,
Yeah.
and I think that's when they put the uh, so they put the little thing in first, and then it starts shaking. Then we see the mass decreasing, right?
Yes. Right.
And then they decide to take the kind of containment thing off, and as they do, we smash cut to Abe on the floor of his apartment. And
Yes.
first time I'm thinking, is this it? Like, are we in the kind of,
I
is
also,
this
yeah, I
is
also
this
thought so.
messing with his mind or something? Um, but this is kind of irrelevant. It feels like on second watch.
I think so. I think he was just at home and he just fell asleep on the floor. I mean,
Yeah,
because I also thought, oh, okay, shit, this is like, um, because I think this movie just messes with your sense of ordinary time as well. The first
yeah,
time I watched it, I thought this had sort of taken place over months, and I think maybe it had, before the first time they travel back. But then once they first get into the time machine, the whole thing's over in like 3 days, right?
yeah. I mean, but the
Um,
actual like building and understanding process is months. They do say
it
that.
must have been months. Yeah. Oh,
I
okay. Do
think
they say
the
that?
in the
Right.
narration it's over. He says over weeks and months. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I also agree. I'm glad that I was going to ask you about that actually, because I was also like, it sort of implies that he's been shocked into
Yeah,
some
affected,
situation and
yeah, in any
he's
some way.
waking up, but I think he just passed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Aaron comes to pick him up and
Yeah, and I
tells
just,
him,
by the way, I love that they're both afraid of these kids. You know, they're like he rehearses his lines. He's like,
"Hey,
"Hello,
Brad."
Brad,"
Yeah.
yeah.
"How
And
are
it's
you?"
like, "Come meet me at the door. I don't wanna walk past these
Yeah.
guys." I loved it.
And Aaron tells Abe that it's stable. Uh,
Mm,
so they return to the garage, and they have this beat with the batteries, where, so
yeah,
as I understand, there's like an input and there's an output, right? But
right.
and
Yeah,
then Aaron is like, "No, watch this," and then removes the input, but the output stays the same, and but gradually falls away.
yeah,
Um, so again, something else funky, I guess, is happening there.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Uh,
you see, suddenly I'm thinking, I've forgotten who said this. I feel like it might have been Isaac Asimov, but probably not. But there's some quote which says the most remarkable or the most exciting phrase in science is not eureka, it's that's funny. You know,
yeah,
so I loved what this film does. You're trying to do something and you're like, oh bloody hell, this thing's happened again. Like, why does this keep happening? It's so
yeah,
irritating. And then that actually turns out to be your big discovery. You know, the thing that's getting in your way, that's often how a lot of scientific discoveries have been made, is that it's some noise that they try everything to get rid of from the system, and then eventually it's like, oh, okay, the reason we're getting this signal is actually because that's just there in the universe, you know.
yeah.
So I did enjoy that.
And this is also a moment um, where, like, you start to think yourself. At least I did. Like, oh, this could have actual practical implications. With my like very rudimentary understanding of science, like a system that like
Exactly. Yeah.
holds all this energy, could have applications. And this is when they kind of talk about weeks and months. They decide to cut out the other two guys, like flat
Right.
cut
Yeah.
them out. So everything's done under the guise of fumigation of the house, and
Right.
they need to
Yes.
get funding from Mr. Granger, Thomas Granger, who's becomes important later on.
Yeah, and I'm hoping you can explain that part to me with Thomas Granger, because that's the one bit that I'm a little bit fuzzy on
Well,
later
that's
on.
I think that's where it gets murky. But I
Right.
think he
Yes.
himself is pretty. It's pretty. I don't know. I think it's easy to infer what happens there, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm keen to discuss it. Yeah.
Yeah. But next we have, I think, where it really begins. We have the rooftop shot. The door opens and
Which
Abe
is,
comes
I
out.
mean, that's my favorite shot of the movie. And I mean,
Yeah.
it happens twice, obviously. I mean, it's my background. I absolutely love that shot. I think it establishes straight off the bat that there's some sort of power dynamic.
Yes.
Because suddenly Abe is up there watching down, and especially on the second watch, it sort of felt eerie, because I still
Yes.
didn't know what was going to happen quite perfectly on the second watch. I was like, okay, this is showing that Abe is like in control.
Yeah. Man,
Um,
it's such a striking shot that
yeah,
um, it's striking enough that they use it again, and
exactly.
you immediately click back into like, oh, I remember that. I know when we are
Yeah,
now.
exactly,
It's that
exactly.
effective.
Yeah, I absolutely love that shot.
And I've written for this. It begins right. So
Yes, exactly.
he goes down to Aaron, who's supposedly listening to basketball. Right, that's what he says
Right.
in his
Yes.
little earbud. Um,
Yes.
but we both agree, right, that he's listening to um, the recording at this point.
Well,
He definitely is,
so
right?
so you see, there's several different layers, because obviously there was a point where Abe came back and it was original Aaron, right? There was a
Yes.
point where he had, because in this scene, as soon as he's on the rooftop, what we don't know yet is that Abe has actually already traveled back in time. He's done it once. He ran the machine this day, and he's now come back, and he says, "Come, I'm going to show you the most amazing thing in human history,
Yeah, but this is
right?
just, but he's just come back on the day, right?
Yes, just on
Only.
the day.
Yeah, just
Exactly,
on the day.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Just one simple loop on the day, but he's already done it. And we think that Aaron hasn't traveled back yet.
Yes.
But having watched the entire film, we see the earbud and we think, okay, so which Aaron are we dealing with?
Yes.
Because there must have been a time when it was original Aaron. But
Yes. But I do have, there was a moment where
yeah,
I think it was revealed, right? So
okay,
obviously Abe says, I'm going to give you the speech. If you just listen to me and do what I say, I'll show you the most important thing
yeah,
in human history, right? So just bear with me, basically. And they go into the office, and he tells them about Aspergillus something, this fungus
yeah,
on the Weeble, right? Where someone comes into the office and says, "Do you know where Will is?" And Aaron says, "No." Right, and they talk a
right,
little bit, and they make that little joke about what happens to a 40-year old engineer and whatever. And at the end of the
yeah.
scene, Aaron looks up and he says, "Oh wait, I do know where Will is." So there,
Oh,
it's been in his ear. Aaron himself has told him
okay.
where Will is
Well, okay.
on the
So
recording.
brilliant. I hadn't noticed that, but that fits into my whole theory, which I had mentioned I was going to speak about, is that during this whole scene on this day when Abe is showing and explaining the fungus and all of that, I was really confused on my second watching because Aaron sometimes has the earbuds in and he sometimes doesn't. And I
Yes.
think I think that is what I was saying, is that we are not only watching one timeline. One scene is from the original timeline, and then the next scene is the second timeline where he's got the earbuds in. So there are some scenes in that day where he doesn't have earbuds in, and there are some scenes where he does. So we are seeing both timelines spliced together as if they are one. So we are seeing that there was an original timeline where he didn't have any information, and then there is another timeline where he repeats exactly what he did, but he does have the earbuds in. You
I'm gonna
understand what I'm
cry.
saying here?
I'm gonna cry.
I mean, that's my theory, because I was like, but he doesn't have earbuds in this scene, so like, this can't be the second Aaron. Like, it must be the original one. And so that's what I think was happening here, is that some of the scenes he has the knowledge and some he doesn't, because we're seeing two different timelines as if they are one.
Right. Okay. Um, I'm gonna hold on to that. I'm not entirely
Right.
convinced, but I'm not like,
Okay.
I'm not pushing against it. I think it's
Okay.
possible. I just like, I
Right.
need to watch it a third time, then we can record again.
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
exactly. We can do a part two. Yeah.
yeah. Um, but I do have like a kind of question or something about timelines where
Yeah.
they talk about it later on, so I'll bring it up there.
Right. Okay.
But
Yeah.
they're talking about the fungus, and they're going to these different experts, right?
Yeah.
And um, what's clear is that each time Abe puts the Weeble in the machine for 5 days, it accumulates 6 years growth of fungus,
Right.
right? And so the first time watching this, that to me was like, okay, we're gonna start doing some funky stuff with time. That's fun, okay?
Exactly. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And he tells Aaron, "I put my watch in," and I love the follow up question he has. It's like, well, which one, mechanical or digital? Yeah,
Oh, nice.
it's a
Okay.
kind of sciencey question, and he
Yeah.
says he
Yeah.
says both, of course, you know.
Oh, I didn't even remember that. No ways. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Um,
Both, of course. Yeah.
and then they're back in the garage, and they're talking about the Weeble going around from point A to point B and then
Yeah.
back. Uh, and I don't really kind of get the mechanics of this scene, I guess, but this was
Mm.
the kind of, this was the aha, we're going back in time. That's when I
Yeah.
realized that
Yeah.
this is what the film was about. But maybe you can explain the Weeble thing a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, once again, on the first watch, didn't get it at all. I was also like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Something's weird with time. But second watch, I actually think it's a brilliant sort of idea for how time travel could work. Is that they sort of establish it that you turn this machine on and it cycles. So
Yes.
you know, if it wasn't if it wasn't a time machine, it would obviously go from point A in time to point B in time. just like we all do, right? You start at an earlier time and you end at another time. But this machine has this cycle where as soon as it now gets to an end point, wherever you switch it off, it actually now experiences a negative arrow of time. So it experiences the exact same time that it's just experienced, but in reverse. So now it goes from point B to point A. But then obviously when it gets to point A, that is the original point that it was switched on. And at that point, it experiences the time from point A to point B.
Right. So it depends when it's switched on. It can't go back any further than when it
Exactly.
was switched on.
Exactly. That's the most important part.
Okay. Okay. So that's why
that-
they have to time their exit when they're inside.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's the point A and the point B
I got really proud when you gave me that thumbs up, by the way. I was like, oh, I'm so clever. Sorry,
Gold
continue.
star, yeah. No, but that's exactly what it is. It's point A in time is when the machine is switched on, and point B in time is when it is switched off. So those are the end points of the cycle. So it cycles between those 2 points infinitely. It just keeps going round and round and round. But whatever's inside the machine just experiences time linearly. So it would experience the time going forward, and it was experience the time going back. So that is why this fungus grows, because they explain that it experiences a minute going into the future until they switch the machine off, and then it experiences the same minute going backwards.
Yes.
But then when it gets to the original point, it experiences the original minute again, and then it goes backwards again, and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards, and it does this 1,300 times or whatever, and that's why there's more fungus growth than to sort of distill it a little bit. They think the machine's been on for a minute, but whatever's been on inside the machine has cycled back and forth on that same minute over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they kind of wrestle with this, and they go outside and shoot some hoops. And I love the shot of Aaron throwing the ball around himself, and just what a nice visual link between the two.
Because they've literally like gone and drawn that on the paper.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he goes and does it with the basketball. I know, I love that as well.
And this is when they both, well, okay, it's a question of who comes up with this, right? But this is
right.
What they realize now is that you have this system as you've described, but if you put an intelligence in it, an active agent, that agent can choose to exit at a given moment.
Exactly. Because it's just
giving you time
by
travel.
Itself, exactly. By itself, it's just going to go from A to B to B to A to A to B to B to A. But then if you were to get in at point B and then time it so that you know when it is at point A, you can exit at point A and then come back into that original time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
there was a line where it was a brilliant line, I thought, where he's like, "You're talking about making it bigger, aren't you?" And I was like, "No, don't make it. Don't put yourself in it. Put like some little robot that can you time it after a minute, it drives out and opens the door or whatever." I was like, "Don't put yourself in it, for heaven's sake."
So that's the line I wanted to talk about. So Aaron says that to Abe, but Abe replies, "I'm not saying that, you said it."
Oh.
Do you see what I mean? So is Aaron fully aware of what's going on because of the recording in this moment? Does he have the recording telling him to suggest time travel? You're talking about making it bigger, and because they're scientists, they're on the same wavelength. But making it bigger, they both know what they mean by that by getting in it, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess not, because we know that Abe is from the future. This is
because I suppose you could say that Abe would have, I suppose. No. You see, I'm trying to logic my way out of this, and no. I think you must be right, because I was going to say that Abe obviously knows that Aaron suggests this, but Abe hasn't actually experienced this exact day before, because he has already time traveled by himself. So it's not like he is now saying what he remembers has been said before.
But he has gone through the machine, so he has made a bigger one.
Yes, he has already made a bigger one. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. But So I suppose you could say it like that, but I suppose a way to get out of it is just like, I'm not saying that. You're saying that because I've already said it to myself. Like, he's sort of like
Right.
guiding him through the day. Like, let's see if Aaron can get to the same point that I got by myself. But that's interesting.
Right.
I hadn't thought about
Um,
that.
yeah. So they're talking about this, and they're eating junk food on the hood of the car, somewhere kind of next to a highway.
Yeah.
And the question now that they're wondering is where to put it if you're putting, excuse me, if you're putting a person inside, because it's obviously going to take up so much space.
Mhm.
And there's this amazing shot where it spins around and it reveals the storage facility.
Well,
They're
yeah, because
talking about,
he says like, oh, we need a place where it won't be disturbed, and then Abe's like, yeah, and climate controlled,
yeah, and then it spins
and then it's
around
like
in his
climate
storage
controlled
facility.
storage. Yeah, no,
But
brilliant.
then obviously the twist is that Abe is like, okay, look. And he looks through the binoculars
Yeah,
and they see Abe before getting into the machine.
yes,
Right. And once he does, they follow inside, um, into the facility. I'm just wondering now, right? So they're inside because once Abe gets into the machine, he's no longer in it because this is past 3 o'clock.
exactly, yes,
Right.
exactly. So the second Abe that we are seeing that we've experienced today has to go in there and turn the machine off. I think,
Right. But he has to get in it.
or no, the second Abe who's already been in it.
Oh, okay, okay.
I
No,
mean,
yeah, that makes
I
sense. They
mean,
never really
I,
talk about turning it off, like what
yeah,
you have
but
to do
no.
about that.
Now that I think of it, actually, the first Abe would have turned it off. So when the second Abe went there, the machine would already be off. Actually, I think that must be what happens. Is
Right,
because
he
in
would
order
have
to
turned it off.
get into it, you have to turn it off, right? You have to cycle it down because they talk about getting into it before it's fully
Oh,
cycled
you have to
down.
get into it at B. Right.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. When you turn it off, exactly. So,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
actually, yeah, scratch what I just said. He gets to the storage unit,
Yeah.
and it should already be off. The machine should already be deactivated.
Yeah.
But he is not in it because he is now being sent in the negative direction of time.
Yes.
Yeah,
Um. So upon this revelation, Aaron is adamant that he wants to um, join Abe just as he did before. And but
yeah.
first they talk about the stock market, and I think this is great because I think like obviously this is what you would do if you had this technology.
But I was like, have you not watched Back to the Future 2, man? Did you not see what happened? Biff Tannen's going
Yeah,
to
but if
get
you
control and
if
you're
you
going to destroy
yourself
1985.
if you yourself are have that power,
Yeah.
you're not going to think, "Oh, I'm going to be like Biff Tannen." You're going to be like, "I'm better than him," I'm going to.
Yeah, and I suppose it's sort of a good way to test it because like even if you go back in time and you sort of want to see, okay, but am I actually able to affect the future? Now that I have knowledge of the future, if I go and buy the stock, is it actually going to behave the same way now that I've bought it? Like, am I going to affect something? Can I actually? Is this actually going to work? So yeah, I suppose
Right.
it's a sort of an experiment in a way as well.
Yeah. But I would just say that that's obviously the thing I do. Like you have this, you sports betting and the
Yeah,
stock market. That's clearly
yeah,
what you would
yeah,
do. Um,
yeah. Which
but
I
I
think
think
is
now
also
this is,
indicative that they weren't really considering the full implications of it yet.
yeah. I
They
mean,
were
this
like,
is, but
"Oh,
this is
cool, we've
a,
got this little thing that can make us money. Like, we can go
yeah,
back and bet on the stock market, essentially."
yeah. But this is the classic sci-fi trope of,
Yeah,
as Dr. Ian Malcolm puts it in Jurassic Park. It's not about whether you could; it's whether you should, right?
yes, yes,
And
exactly.
you're messing
Yeah,
with things that you don't really have full control over. And it's a
yeah.
classic trope of science fiction, right? And things get
Brilliant,
out of
brilliant
hand.
quote. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Um, so Abe walks him through the day, right? And
Mm.
so why don't I try to attempt to explain how uh, you would perceive a day uh, going along like this, right? So
Right.
you
Yeah,
have to go to the machine and time it to turn on in 15 minutes
exactly. Yes.
and so you have to leave because in 15 minutes when it turns on you are going to step out of it. That's why you have
Yes.
to leave, right?
Yeah.
So let's say that that's at 8:45, and then you go and you
Yeah.
hide yourself away from the world where you can't um, gain too much knowledge or affect things in any way, because you are out there now. You're
Yeah.
overlapping,
Yes.
right? And then at 2:30, you check how the stock market's done, and you pick up whatever. And then at 3, you get into the machine for 6 hours.
Right.
And then when your stopwatch goes, you climb out at 9 a.m.,
Yes.
right? And you yourself having just left. And now you have all the knowledge, right? And now you are free to go out in the world because your original self is locked away, and
Yeah.
you're free to go make the trades, and then you continue on with your life, right?
Yes.
Effectively having a 36-hour day, because
Yes.
you have those 6 hours twice.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And I think an important point that I want to bring up here is that, I mean, firstly, Abe is obviously, from the beginning, he's shown that he has considered some of this, right? And he's been cautious. He knows that there is something that you can potentially mess with things here, right?
Yes.
So he's like, so that's why he has to set a timer, because he doesn't know what's going to happen when he runs into himself. And we have to go into the hotel and isolate ourselves because we don't want to mess with the timelines here. But he's making an assumption here, which I think the film proves wrong at some stage. He's making an assumption that the two timelines that you experience, the initial time that you go through the day and then the second time that you go through the day, are both going to exist in the same reality, essentially. They are going to both exist side by side, and that if one happens in if something happens in the first timeline, it will happen in the second timeline. You will just
Right.
be there as well again. So that's the assumption that he's making, is that he's going back and he is affecting his own timeline, and he will end up in the same place later in the day.
But later on they have a conversation about like fate and I guess causality and
Mm,
destiny and things like this. And
yeah.
I saw a comment online, and I wish I could find it again. It was in some
Right.
forum or something, and I wish I could credit this person.
Mm,
It's like the the suggestion of like infinite universes, right? Where any given moment splits off into infinite things because infinite things could happen. But
yeah.
if if you're you would always do the same thing in every universe. So effectively, there's one universe. Isn't that roughly what they're getting at when they have that debate? It's like it doesn't really matter
Right.
because I'm always going to do the same thing. It's always me.
Right.
But
Right.
then that
Yes,
also
I
opens up the
suppose.
kind of the I guess the scary thing later on is like when they know like I'm gonna do something, but like how could I do something that I know I'm gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So,
a real mind bender, that one.
yeah, exactly. I suppose. I suppose. Yeah, he's trying to make sure that he stays in the same universe, because he's like, if we do the same thing, if we don't, if we keep these two things separate, if we hide away in the hotel and don't interfere with things, then we won't create multiple timelines. I think that's sort of what he's assuming. He's saying,
Yes.
if we go back and we don't have two of us existing in the same space, and we don't create any sort of paradoxes, we will be safe, right? We won't actually create these multiple timelines. So I think that's his assumption. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, this is another thing that having such a small budget affects is you don't have any CGI, so
Yes.
the uh, you can never have the doubles on screen together, right? So it forces them to
Right.
keep them separate, and also adds to that
Yes.
disorienting feeling of which one am I watching at a given
Right.
moment.
Yeah.
Um, but so that I just have a thought, like a question
Mm.
about like the causality, I guess would be the word. So if you turn on the machine, does that automatically mean that you get out of it? Do you know what I mean? Does that guarantee that you
Right.
get out of the machine? Because you haven't gotten in yet.
I suppose it
But
doesn't. Hey, I mean
the
that's
act of turning it on is like with the intention that you are to get out of it.
yeah. But so like if you were so the fail-safe machine that we're going to get to later.
Yes. Yeah.
The original intention of that, I think, with Abe was that he's like, okay, let's turn on this machine and have it running in case I need to
Oh
get into
yes.
it,
Yeah.
right? But he was hoping that he wouldn't have to use it. So he was hoping that
I
everything
never.
would work out.
Yeah.
They
I never
wouldn't
realized that it's on the whole time. The failsafe. Of
exactly.
course it is. Yeah.
It has to be on the
Yeah.
whole time. Exactly. So he turns it on. It goes, and he's hoping that they can mess with time, make money in the stock market, and then at a later stage he says, "Okay, we didn't need this," switches it off, and doesn't get into it. Right.
Yes.
So in that case, he wouldn't come out at the A end of the failsafe machine.
Right. So there's not necessarily a causal relation between switching it on and you getting out.
Well, I mean that's a real Schrodinger's cat sort of thing, right? Like, did
Yeah.
you
I
kill the
suppose.
cat by
Yeah.
looking at it?
Yeah.
Because there's a possibility that by switching it on, you're going to get out of it. And I think in every case in this film, when they switch on the machine, they do get out of it,
Yes, that's
right?
true. Yeah.
Because if you've got the failsafe, they used it, right? So every time they switched the machine on, someone did get out of it. So I think that's a good point, because if they hadn't turned on the machine, no one would have gotten out of it, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a real Schrodinger's cat sort of thing right there.
Yeah. And just about the stock market, I love the exchange they have of what does this company do? Like, what does it matter? Like, they made money.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
what if they were arms manufacturers or
right.
something? You know?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It shows they don't care about it at all. They just wanna make money. They just want to manipulate
yeah.
their invention to help themselves. Yeah,
Yeah. And then we have, well, the I guess the scene like after this whole montage of time travel and going through the day,
yeah,
where they're at I guess it's Aaron's home, and they're sitting on the couch still in their white shirts and ties,
yeah.
still, and
Yeah.
they're asking Kara, I think her name is, what would you do if you had $400 billion, right?
Yeah,
And that's a great question because like there's nothing to do, you just sit
yeah,
around all day.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, exactly. There's
but
nothing
then
to do. Yeah, just
yeah,
have $400,000.
yeah, but then um, Aaron says, "I'll tell you what I would do. I would go up to Platt and like just punch him in the face. This is the guy who screwed them out of their original
Yeah,
patent."
yeah,
And first time through, I was like, okay, the film is slowing tempo just as you do moving through a story
yeah.
before picking up again, right? And I
Right.
saw it was a way to spend time with the characters a little bit. The second time through, I was like,
Yeah,
this is the key moment to kind of
yeah.
everything in the film.
Yes, exactly.
Because
It's the
firstly, there's the
beginning.
mention, yeah. Firstly, there's the mention of rats in the attic, which we know are
Yeah,
not
which
rats. We know that there's
I
a
missed
version of
completely
yeah,
on the first time. Obviously, I didn't get that
yeah.
whole
We
thing
know
at
that's a
all.
version of Aaron who's up there.
Yes, yes.
Um, I guess the original Aaron who doesn't know about any of this time travel stuff that's going on.
Exactly. So it's from our understanding of the initial timeline, it would have been the Aaron who's just spent the whole day with Abe, and then at some
Yes,
stage, the second Aaron has come and replaced that Aaron. So
yes,
the second Aaron has now spent the whole day with Abe, and the original one's been in the attic.
yes. And Kara says about this comment about Platt to Aaron, he said, "Oh, that's great. My husband, the hero." And it's a
Right.
kind of throwaway line.
Yeah.
And now we know that this is, I mean, it even says in the narration, once the words had been uttered, there was no going
Yes.
back. And it
Yes.
put the idea in his head of being a hero to his wife or
Yeah.
being a hero to people. And a big problem I had with the film the first time was I never really understood the motivation or the obsession over the party later on.
Yeah.
But it
I'm
was
still
there
a
all
bit
along.
fuzzy about it, but
It was there all
yeah.
along.
Yeah.
It's a
Right.
just a kind of pathetic male insecurity about his own perception.
But then, I mean, so just help me out with who is Rachel? I mean, is Rachel
So
Abe's
Rachel's Abe's partner, and her
right?
father is Mr. Granger, who is
Right.
paying for everything.
Okay.
It's important
Okay.
that he's paying for everything.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right. Okay. But then, I mean, also, yeah, I suppose in fact, we'll get to the party later, I suppose. But I mean, I still struggle to understand why, because Abe, I mean, no, Aaron
yeah,
seemed to care a lot about what happens to Rachel. Like, not only at the party, but like ensuring what happens to her in the future. Like, we can't just prevent this. We have to make sure this guy goes to jail. And
yeah.
I
But
was confused why Aaron cared so much about Abe's girlfriend.
I think that it was an available situation in which he could intervene. It's not about
Okay,
Rachel. It's just that
right.
the situation exists, that he knows someone
Okay,
who's like murderously vengeful about his ex
right.
girlfriend.
So it
But it's about,
wasn't actually about Rachel. It
yeah,
was about
because
him being the hero.
yeah, because
Okay.
as his wife said, like, that would be
Yeah.
great if you did that. My husband would essentially be a hero. It's like, you're
Okay.
not a
Yeah.
hero. You would only be a hero if you go do something heroic. And
Right.
like I said, just a pathetic little guy who
Okay.
is insecure about how he's perceived by other people and has to
Yeah.
invent a
Yeah.
situation
And
to
he
be a
sort of
hero.
justifies it by saying, "No, no, I care about this girl and that she doesn't get threatened by this dude."
Yeah, man,
But
it's all just about,
he's
like,
actually just trying to be a hero. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
I
Okay.
mean, like I said, like, so this is the key kind of pivot for everything,
Yeah.
for his motivations, going forward
Right.
or going backwards, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's similar. I mean, you mentioned Dr. Ian Malcolm already. I remember my sister and I always discussed that scene in Jurassic Park where they're eating lunch in the black room with the flickering images and stuff
Yeah,
behind. And like as a kid watching that scene, oh, it was so boring. I'm like, come on, I just wanna see dinosaurs. Like, let's get over this. I don't you just eating lunch. Like, shut up.
yeah,
And now it's probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. It's like the most important scene of
yeah,
the entire movie. That's where they flesh everything out. It's literally the most important thing.
yeah. And now
So
you've
this
packaged it.
scene,
You're selling it.
yeah,
And slamming the
exactly,
table.
exactly. So this scene's probably similar, where they're just sitting on the couch, as you say. You think, oh, they're just sort of slowing things down a little bit and putting a scene in the middle of stuff. But it actually turns out to be like I hadn't even considered the whole hero thing. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's actually the motivation for everything.
yeah. I mean, but
Yeah,
it's in the narration. Like, it's that clear that he says, once the words
yeah,
had been
yeah,
uttered, there was no going back. The seed is
yeah,
planted, and that's it. And I think even there's a scene, I can't remember how long down the road it is, but when they're looking for the cat, and
yeah.
he's like, I don't want to. He says, I don't even want to find the cat. He's like, why are you looking for the cat? It's like, because she says, look for the cat, so I'm looking for the cat.
Yes.
So that's a kind of hero psychology still at play there a little bit, giving you a
Right.
little bit
Okay.
about it.
Right. Okay. Because I was confused about the cat as well. I was like, well, we haven't heard about this cat. Like,
Yeah,
what the hell is this?
they
Yeah.
couldn't
Okay.
afford a cat on set. But they're also discussing, like, how to, I guess, show up at home with the money. It's like, what if we just go to
Yeah.
Costa Rica,
Yeah.
right? And still, yeah, that's the thing. Like, what if I show up one day with all this money and I take her away to the tropical paradise, right? That's
Yeah.
still the the hero complex, I guess,
Yeah.
working over there. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to orient myself a little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so they do some more traveling and everything, and Aaron's ear is bleeding. So
Yes.
there's some kind of hint of side effects going on
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But of
And I
course,
mean, is the bleeding ear related to him wearing earpieces, or is it just
maybe,
a? Because I was sort of thinking, because you mentioned like they put their hands in the box or whatever, and then later they can't write or whatever. And like I'm thinking, because he uses the earpiece to control things. That's the the point of him that sort of fails or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but the implication to me is that he's actually been doing this longer
Yes. Yeah.
than Abe,
Right.
so there's more accumulative
Right, and it's
effects.
just a general symptom. It's just he's
Yeah,
just starting to his body is starting to show the effects. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so there's a scene where Abe is catching up with Philip and Robert, the other two guys who they haven't worked with in months, and um, they speak about Aaron, and one of them says, "Is Hero even here?" And Abe, they move on a little bit, and Abe goes back and says,
Right.
"Wait, what'd you call him? Hero. He came into this party, and there was a guy threatening Rachel with a shotgun, and Aaron stepped in and stopped everything and became a hero." And
Right.
that's the next scene where they're looking for the cat. And Abe is saying, "I can't
Okay.
believe you did
Right.
that,"
Yes.
but he's saying, "I can't believe that you did that." Um, and I think it's suggested like he did actually go back in time and affect the timeline, right?
Already. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
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 And what you're saying is that Abe has this
Yes.
incredibly cautious attitude, um,
Yes.
which we see
Yes.
when he eats a muffin. He has that, like, it's incredibly detailed.
Exactly. And that scene, I mean, I want to mention there as well is that Aaron, because I can't remember when that scene happened, but Aaron was then showing paranoia that something was changing
With
because
the
he obviously
scores. Yeah,
knew what was going to happen with the score, and he's like, but it's not happening. Why is it not happening? Something's
yeah,
changing. Like, so he'd obviously done something already, and he was sort of primed. There we go.
yeah,
Waiting for something to happen. He was looking out for the symptoms, and he'd gotten these physical symptoms, and now he's watching the basketball score not change. So yeah, I think he was already starting to get paranoid that he'd
yeah,
been messing with it too much.
yeah. And also the contrast of them sitting in front of the TV. Abe has got his muffin and
Yeah,
everything's in a
yeah,
straight line. Exactly. So he's very precise
yes,
and
right,
careful, and Aaron's just kind of slouched and his shirt's untucked. So he's very has
yeah,
callous attitude um,
yeah,
towards everything. But of course, with the basketball score, it does turn out to be right. He's just forgotten,
yes,
right? Which is,
yes,
I also think that's a nice thing. Like, you're doing this so much, you're actually going to forget all the details as you go
yeah,
through.
and you're going to be paranoid that things are going to change, but actually, it's all still fine at this point. Like
Yes.
he hasn't changed anything that much. Yeah,
And then they go out to eat because Aaron is hungry and he says, "I haven't eaten since later this afternoon."
yeah, I love
Yeah, just a
that.
great. That's a very writerly line, isn't it?
I will have eaten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and they have a scare with cell phones, right?
Yes.
You sound
Yes.
like you have something to say about this. I don't really.
Well, so I mentioned earlier that Abe had made an assumption that he was going back on his own timeline and affecting that timeline, and that's why he's like, "Okay, we need to isolate ourselves because if we do anything the first time, going from point A to B naturally, and then we come back and go from A to B again, if we've done anything the first time, we will create some sort of paradox and we will mess up the timeline." But what happens here is they're in the hotel room, right? And Aaron gets a call and he answers it. But then they go back in time and Aaron forgets to turn his phone off and then he gets the same call again, right?
Oh, but
And
that's the call that was before in the film's timeline,
exactly, which
right?
means
Yes,
obviously what they have already experienced on the first time from A to B hasn't happened that way, or they have now created the paradox. They've now interfered with something, and everything's fine, right? They haven't destroyed the world. The universe hasn't um, cracked down the middle. They everything's still
yeah,
fine. They still, because he says, "Do you feel fine?" "Yeah, I feel fine. Everything's cool." And so this is the film now establishing that every time they go back, they are not just traversing the same timeline again. They are now creating a new one. So every
right.
time they use the machine, you probably remember in Back to the Future, I think it was the second one as well. Doc Brown draws that line on the the board, and then he sort of draws a new timeline. You know, he's like, the
Yes.
timeline streams down and creates this new thing. So that's sort of what happens is
Yeah, that's
you
the thing
get
that this
this
film never does, by the way, is have that moment with the audience. Yeah.
exactly where they explain what's going
Yeah.
on. Yeah. So I mean that's why I've got this whole diagram here with new timelines and then scratched out, no, this is that and whatever, because that's what they now establish in this scene with the phone is they say, okay, so whatever happens the first time round doesn't actually matter. So what they're actually saying is we don't need to go and isolate ourselves necessarily in the hotel room, right? The only
Yes.
reason for doing that is that we don't run into each other and people see two of us, right?
Yes.
But whatever we do the first time round isn't going to affect it's going to be null and void because we now in a new timeline.
Right. So I
Um,
completely missed that with the
oh,
phone
okay.
calls. Yeah.
I mean, I missed it the first time round,
Yeah.
but then the second time round, I was like, okay, that's so. You see, once again, you think, okay, it's just a phone call, but
Yeah.
everything in this movie is intentional. And yeah, I obviously read a lot of stuff online about this, and something which really irks me is that people say, yeah, this is now saying that time this is the many worlds interpretation. And no, it isn't. Many worlds interpretation is something very, very specific. It's an interpretation of quantum mechanics, got nothing to do with time travel, actually. What this is going back on your own world line in space time. So
Yeah. You
you
tell him.
have,
You
yeah,
get him.
exactly. So it's not many worlds. You are creating multiple timelines, but you're going back to your own history and you're creating a new future. So in space time, you have a whole lot of possible histories and a whole lot of possible futures. You're going back only in time to a point earlier on your own world line, and you're now going to a new possible future. That is not many worlds.
Yeah.
That is just a different thing. I mean, you're still creating multiple timelines, but it is not called the many worlds interpretation.
But isn't it? Couldn't you say that it just also doesn't really matter because in your own body, as you experience it, you're
Mm.
just going through everything, right? So
Exactly. Your arrow of time from your perspective is
yeah,
always going forward. You're always experiencing positive time.
yeah,
It's only from the outside that you go forwards and backwards.
yeah. So in effect, it doesn't really matter. But I guess because there's
Yeah.
two of them, that's why they have to worry about it. I suppose.
Well, so it's the first version of them exists in the original timeline, but as soon as they go back, they are now in a new timeline. There is still a version
Yeah,
of them in that timeline, but what happens in the new timeline is now what happens in that timeline.
because
So
as they're looking at it, the original versions of themselves only exist to get in the box, as they
yes,
perceive it. Yes.
yeah,
So that
exactly,
their
exactly.
only destiny is to get in the
Their
box.
their only possible future, exactly.
Yes.
They normally you have a cone. I mean, I can't quite describe a space time diagram on a
Yeah.
podcast, but normally you have like it's called a light cone, which the further into the future you go, the more possible futures you have. But what they've done by going back in time is they've narrowed that possible future down to exactly one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That
So
makes sense.
the future of their past self only has one job to do, and that is to get into the box.
Yeah.
And what happens to them in their subjective future in the new timeline is irrelevant because they are no longer they're already past that point in their own subjective timeline.
Yes.
So yeah.
We got
I
there in
think
the end.
that's my caveat at the end of everything is I think. I mean, if you can come with a better argument, let's hear it. You know.
Yeah. So next up is Abe not getting any good sleep because some kids are setting off car alarms, and he
Yes.
wants to fix it, right? Because they have a plan to do some traveling and stuff with the and stock market going forward, but his rest
Yes.
has been ruined by this. So he wants to go back and tell the kids off so that he can get some rest, so that the plan.
Well, no, I don't think so. So
But
he's
but why does he
using
want to stop the kids then? Because it's
yeah,
such
yeah.
a it's
So
such a I mean, that's also like a comment on how, their attitude to everything is that they're willing to do it for something so frivolous,
Yeah. So
right?
what he's done, so that's why the phone scene with the phone calls is important, because he's now realized that you can experience one timeline, go back, and then make sure that timeline never happens and just live on your new timeline. So what he does is he wakes up from the car alarm. He then tells Aaron, the machines are actually on. They've been on for hours.
Yeah,
So, and then I think he suggests, let's go do the Platt thing. Let's go punch Platt in the face, right? Go do this. We go and do something that we don't want to actually go into the future of the world, right? So we go do this. Then we get in the box, we go back, and we prevent my past self from ever waking up from the kids. So then the past self never goes to the box, never goes and punches Platt, and that whole timeline is now erased. So you see what I'm saying is
yeah.
he's now realized you can do one thing, go back, and then make sure it never happens. Your past self doesn't actually have to get into the box in order for you to get to where
So
you
this is
are.
about not facing consequences
Yeah,
for your actions.
yeah.
Let me just
And that's
go
why,
punch a guy in the face and
yeah,
never have to deal with the consequences for it.
that's why he sort of says it's half an experiment. He wants to see if his theory of time travel works, because he says, I think we can do this and erase that entire timeline, come back, nothing's ever happened, you haven't punched Platt in the face, and we can continue with our stock value thing
Right.
by preventing myself from ever waking up from the car alarm.
Yes. So, but this is, see, but this is where the way that they speak to each other is, it's so obfuscating to an audience, right? Unless you're on their
Yes.
level.
No, exactly, exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why you don't get any of this the first time round, right? And even the second time is a bit of a stretch. I mean, I had like various different guides and websites
Yeah. Yeah.
open and stuff, like trying to make sense of everything.
Yeah. But
Because yeah, they don't. If you miss one sentence, then
yeah,
you
yeah,
can miss
you're
a
out.
whole lot of stuff. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But this is like an '80s sci-fi film. It would be like Arnold Schwarzenegger's a cop, and someone's explaining it to him in one scene, and then you know, and
Yeah,
then we don't have to think about it as much. But in this film,
yeah,
every scene you're really trying to
yeah.
follow
You've got to
exactly.
do the work
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Which is just to say it's rewarding. It's not a complaint.
yes, yeah, yeah, exactly.
But so they get in the car, but then they see Mr. Granger. But
Yes,
Aaron saw him earlier in the day, clean shaven, because he had to go to a gala or a benefit or something.
yeah,
But the Mr. Granger they see in the car following them has multiple days facial hair growth.
yeah.
So I guess there are two things uh, that I think this could be, right?
Okay, yeah,
So Mr. Granger is frustrated that he's not seeing any return on his money, or he's not being kept in the loop. So he's decided to follow the paper trail, and then he's found the storage and
okay,
got in the
right,
box, and found the box and got in the box.
right.
Or the other thing is that them messing around in this way has now created disastrous consequences. And that's maybe the suggestion of the growth is that when you're depressed or you're grieving or whatever it is, you don't really take
Yeah,
care of yourself.
yeah, yeah,
So then he's found the box and gone back and tried to fix everything.
yeah.
Um, but it's clear to Aaron and Abe from this encounter that something has gone really wrong in
Yes,
the
yes,
future.
yeah, exactly.
And Abe's conclusion is we need to shut down everything from the beginning. And that's
Yeah.
where the failsafe comes in.
Yeah, and so you see, I mean, I'm sort of more in favor probably of the second interpretation of Granger, because what I never, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the whole thing with the shotgun later, it's never a shooting. The guy never comes into the party and kills Rachel,
No,
right?
never. Good point.
But I think that there is some timeline where that happened. So that we never see that happening. And I think Thomas Granger, is probably coming back from a timeline where his daughter was killed. And now he's learned that there's time
Great.
travel.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm going to go back and make sure that my daughter is never killed. So they never experienced that timeline because they are all entangled with it.
So there's a different
Um,
timeline where Rachel's
yeah.
killed, and then Granger has gone back onto their timeline, whatever timeline that
Yes.
is, to try to fix it.
I mean, I sort of think so, yeah. Because,
Right.
the first we hear about the shotgun is Aaron went back and was the hero and made sure that he didn't shoot.
Yes.
He never actually shoots. So I think that there must have been a time when Rachel was killed. So Aaron's like, okay, I'm going to go back and make sure that never happens. And then he messes it up somehow, or whatever. And then Granger tries to. So it's something like that. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, the
yeah.
big thing that kind of throws us for a loop is we first learn about the party after the heroic act. It's never
Right.
like the party happens and Rachel dies, and then they decide we're going to fix everything now.
Well, so
Right.
you see,
So
that's what I'm
it's like,
saying is
but
we never
that's what's
see that
confusing about
original
it.
timeline, I suppose.
Yeah, but
Yes.
like
Yeah, exactly.
in a traditional movie dealing with time travel, you would
Yes.
see the disastrous thing, and
You would
then
see the disaster and then they go back and fix it. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
um,
But yeah, we just see the solution because that's how Abe finds out, right? He's like, oh, he was a hero. Oh,
yeah,
well, what happened? He must have gone back and done something. Yeah,
yeah, um, yeah. I mean, there's also a nice moment where they try to call Granger, um, but someone
right.
else, the guy who's not in the car, uh, a guy who's not in the car picks up a different Granger.
Okay. Yes.
Um,
Okay.
so I don't know if that relates anyway to the phone thing from before, or if it's just a confirmation that
I
there are
think
two
it's just.
Grangers
I mean, I hadn't.
existing.
You see, that part had confused. This whole Granger thing had confused me. But yeah, I think it's probably just a confirmation. It's like if
Yeah,
Granger picks up and we see him in our rearview mirror and he's not talking on the phone, then obviously that's not him. That's a different version of him.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the key to this is that he has facial hair growth,
Yeah. Exactly.
and
It's
I
like the
think
fungus.
I'm with you now. This is a grieving,
Yeah.
this is a
I mean,
grieving father. Yeah, yeah.
I think that he has to be desperate enough to go
Yes,
back and do something. I think so.
that he doesn't understand because he is just the financier.
Yeah. So obviously they leave it open ended. We don't know what happens, but obviously something big has happened, and I reckon that's probably a candidate for it. Yeah.
Yeah, but at this point, it's time to break out the failsafe
Mm.
and to fix everything. And I
Well,
love
to mess everything up.
the
Don't we?
intention. The intention is to fix everything.
Yeah.
But I love the just the filmmaking where you have the narration explaining like what it would take to be in the box for 4 days and how much oxygen that requires
Yes.
and
Yes.
the drugs that you would have to take and the water that you would
Yeah.
have to consume and um, just as they prepare for that, and it's just reminding you of like the actual like physical toll um,
Yes.
that they're
Yeah. This isn't
experiencing
just
by doing
hopping into
this.
the TARDIS or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's arduous. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, sorry, well, I just want to make sure that everything's in
Yeah,
order.
I also have to find out where I am in my timelines
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah,
We
yeah.
see a shot with a time of 3 days, 22 hours, 9 minutes. So that's the confirmation of
Yes.
the fail-safe device, and that's also that you've explained so well.
Yeah,
We know
yeah.
exactly that this is how far back he's
Exactly.
about
So
to go.
before Abe even spoke to Aaron, he had this box. He switched it on, and it's like just in case I have to go all the way back to before I even speak to Aaron.
Yes.
I'm gonna have this thing going.
Yeah. Well, first of all, what great foresight, I guess, just to have
Yeah,
that there.
brilliant, right? I wouldn't have thought of that. I was like, damn, dude.
Yeah. But I like that the film was like, okay, here's a box, some crazy stuff's going on. Now there's a bigger
Mm.
box. No, but there's a bigger box.
Yeah, yeah,
And obviously
yeah,
the film
exactly.
ends with like, we're going to build the biggest box.
Yeah.
Um, but the timer fades out, and then we have this amazing like haunting moment where Abe does he how he's replacing himself in the past, but
Yes,
does he knock him
yes.
out or does he kill him? Because
Well, so I thought he killed him the
yeah,
first
I
time,
did
but no,
too.
he knocks him out because at the end, you see both Aaron and Abe knocking on their hiding places, and they burst out. So Aaron bursts out of the attic,
Right,
and Abe bursts out of the cupboard. So he doesn't actually kill him
right.
because
But he is haunted by it. I mean, you can see
yes,
how he
he's
wears it on
quite
his face.
disturbed. Yeah,
Yes, yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Because yeah, he goes back and makes sure that his previous self isn't
Running
doing
around. Yeah,
what he did. Yeah, he's
yeah,
trying to now correct what had happened.
yeah. And he takes his place, and that's where we get the rhyming shot. Over the shoulder, going through the door,
Yes,
down
yes.
onto Aaron on the bench. But he goes down and he tries to reinitiate um, the conversation. But it's clear that so Aaron is saying the same things as before, but
Yeah,
Abe is not quite.
exactly. He's trying, but he's getting things wrong and stuff like that. Yeah,
So I've seen suggested that because he faints. I've seen
right.
suggested that he faints because he realizes then that Aaron has gone back
Uh,
to before his own failsafe to
okay.
get there ahead of
Yeah.
him. But isn't it that he just faints because he's so weak after
I
four
sort of
days in
thought
the
exactly after 4 days in the thing, and also just I think it's more of the physiological symptoms that we've been seeing. You know,
yeah
after 4 days, something's happening to his actual physical body, and being in proximity to another. So you see, I sort of thought that maybe if he had gone back and met the original Aaron like he thought he was, everything would have been fine. But already we now getting paradoxes and stuff because he's now meeting an Aaron who's gone further back and is playing him. So all of these timelines getting all interconnected suddenly sort of messes with him somehow
yeah.
and makes him faint. That's sort of what I
But
imagined.
I love the reveal of the earphones and what they're playing.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but that he um, just that Aaron keeps up with the script, as it were,
yes,
while
yeah,
it doesn't already fit what we knew from earlier in the film.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I guess for the rest of the film, I mean, usually what I try to do is I try to go
Mm.
through the big scenes in order, and we discuss the scenes and how we feel about
Right.
them. And I think at this point, I think you should just lump the whole rest of the film
Just
together.
blow the whole thing open and let's deal with it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
because I mean, I watched this like 2-3 hours ago, and my notes don't make sense. So I've written
Yeah, I
Hoodie
know.
Aaron, but like, when does Hoodie Aaron show up? And
Yeah, 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 yeah. You see, this is also when I'd been making a nice little timeline diagram up until this point, and
yeah,
now suddenly I've realized that all the diagrams that I've drawn before um, are null and void essentially,
yeah,
because you've actually had traveling within them and back to them
yes,
when you thought it was an original the first time they're going through it, but it's actually been
yeah.
manipulated since the beginning.
Yeah, that's the big brain breaker of the film is that everything
Yeah,
you had been watching has been sort of affected already, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but this is a quote I think from the narration that sums up, I guess, what the rest of the film is doing. It's he's reverse engineered a perfect moment,
Mm, mm.
right? And this is the act of heroism at the party,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And so Aaron has gone back further backwards
Yeah,
than Abe did with the failsafe
yeah. So, do
to
you
make
understand how
sure.
that works?
Well, he had a different failsafe.
No, no, he didn't.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, you see, so because this is what I got is I imagined I was like, okay, so Abe has gone back to the beginning, and obviously Aaron in the original timeline would have been there, and suddenly Abe is no longer there. He's just disappeared, right? So that Aaron obviously gets into some different failsafe or whatever, but that's actually not what happens, because he mentions that he had a modular version of the failsafe. So actually, before Abe ever got into the failsafe, at an earlier point in time, Aaron had gone to the manifest of the storage lockers,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he'd seen that there was another locker. He went up, he discovered this box, and he knew exactly what it is. And I think he got into it immediately, as soon as he discovered it. He then went back in time um, to the beginning where Abe thought he was going to go, and then he took with him a folded up version of the box. So he gets out of the original failsafe, moves it, gets rid of it somehow, sets up a new one so that Abe will, and then he goes through the whole sequence of events, and then replaces Abe's original failsafe box in the storage. So when Abe goes to his failsafe, he thinks it's the one that's been running since the beginning, but it's actually not. It's the folded one that Aaron has taken back with him and set up a little bit later after he got out of the original. Did that make sense?
Right. But so this Aaron
Because
who,
it obviously has to be running, right? It has to be running from the beginning.
yeah, but I always thought that that was just what Abe did as the failsafe, right?
No. So he didn't. I also thought that on the first watch, but he said he discovered the box, realized immediately what it was, and then took a folded version in that box to the original point and set up a decoy.
Okay.
That Abe would come and think, okay, this is the original. He gets in. So when Abe first goes back to the beginning, that is not his failsafe. He never ever gets into the original failsafe. Aaron does.
Right. And the Aaron who gets into the failsafe is the hoodie
Yes.
Aaron who
Exactly.
drugs himself and takes
Yes.
over in that position.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
is this hoodie Aaron the one we watched throughout the film? The one with foresight? I'm just wondering.
Well, so you see, I mean, my theory about the beginning scenes where he sometimes has pieces and sometimes doesn't.
Yeah.
I think we are seeing the Aaron in the attic and the hoodie Aaron. We're seeing both of them. We're seeing the two different versions as if we're seeing one character. So we're seeing that the same thing happens twice. So obviously it did happen with the original at some stage, but yeah, I reckon there's a good chance that what we've been seeing the whole film is actually hoodie Aaron already.
Yeah. So this is something.
Abe's first time through, but actually Aaron is pretending, I suppose.
Yeah. So now I want to rewatch it and look at like actually performance, right? And see if
yes,
see if there's anything in the performance of Aaron that makes you think
right.
he's actually a little bit cheesy in this moment, or something like that.
Yeah.
While he's living through something for the second time or something.
Yes. Yeah. Whoa! You see the layers with the stem. Yeah.
But everything is hinging around this party. And there's a great scene, and I'm not. It's a great scene just to watch on the basketball court.
Yes.
Where Abe is listening to the tape of this moment as it's happened before.
Yeah.
But he's watching Aaron deliberately do it differently.
Right. Yes.
And this is the scene where he invites Rachel's ex-boyfriend, the one who brings the shotgun, to the party.
Yes.
Right. Which he's doing before even Rachel's been invited, by the way, because he has to convince Abe to do that later on in the garage.
Right.
So this gives me the sense of like the kind of trial and error of doing this multiple times. Because he's tried it the one way, and now he's doing it a different way.
Yeah.
And it's that suggestion of this is not the first time that he's doing this, or the second time, or whatever. But it's also, we also have the revelation that both of their handwriting has been affected.
Yes, yes.
And
Um,
Aaron tells Abe, check your left hand, it'll be the same. Because Abe was the one who put both his hands in that kind of energy field, I
oh,
suppose, in the
wow.
beginning.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
has to be the link, right?
Right. I didn't get that at all. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so I think, because I don't know the exact order of the scenes here, but I think that we've skipped something important. Is that the Aaron who is on the basketball court is not Hoodie Aaron already, because Hoodie Aaron goes back to the beginning, drugs himself, and
Yes.
he now has the intention. He says to himself, "Okay, I'm going to go and live this entire timeline out again, and I'm going to record all the conversations, and then I'm going to go back again, and now I will have
Oh,
foresight and influence."
so
Um,
the second run through
yeah,
is just for data collection,
exactly.
and
And
then it's the
so,
action.
and then
Yeah.
what happens is, because he then says when Aaron came back a second time or whatever, there was a fight. So they sort of
Yeah.
have a scene where there's like a fight, and it turns out that the Aaron that comes back with the recorded messages or whatever loses the fight to
Yeah.
Hoodie Aaron, but then Hoodie Aaron speaks to the third Aaron, and realizes, oh shit, I've already done this. I've
Yeah.
gone through, I've collected all the data. So now it's my turn to step back. I have to step back because this is now the second part of my plan. He's arrived with the data, with the recorded conversations. So Hoodie Aaron says, cheers. Like there's a scene where
Yeah. Yeah. They kind of nod and yeah.
they're at the door, and Hoodie Aaron says like I left.
Yeah.
So from his perspective, he never actually records the conversations, because by the time he gets to the beginning of the timeline, the version with the recorded conversations comes back with the recorded conversations and says, "Get lost. I've got them already. You've done it."
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So like he never. So it's I think it's called the bootstrap paradox.
But okay, so
Uh,
I'm just wondering which is the Aaron who leaves the house, and which is the one who stays to execute the plan. So there's an Aaron who has gone through and experienced everything and recorded all the data and has
mm,
now come back with the intention of taking over the Aaron without the knowledge, right? And then
yes,
so then the
exactly.
Aaron with yeah, but so now we have this Aaron with all the knowledge and Aaron without knowledge. Who leaves and who stays? That's
So
what I'm wondering.
I think Aaron without the knowledge leaves, which is Hoodie Aaron, and I think Hoodie Aaron is who we've been listening to as the narrator the whole film, because
Okay, but then
he says I left because he had more invested,
okay,
right?
that tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
So
that he yeah the one that one would have more invested.
exactly, because he was like, he'd gotten there with this plan. He's going to go and he's going to record all of this stuff so that he can come back and know what to do. And he sort of, from his
Oh
perspective, he never gets to do it, because
no,
by the
I so
time he gets
I
there,
have it wrong. I have it wrong. So
okay,
the two that so the two that are fighting
yeah,
is the big Aaron that has the whole giant master plan,
yes,
and then the other Aaron who's like in the middle. So not an
yes,
Aaron who doesn't know about time travel yet.
no,
It's an Aaron who has gone back once.
exactly. So the Aaron who doesn't know
Okay.
about time travel is in the attic already. He's already
Yes.
had his
So
milk
there's
spiked, and he's now
yes.
in the
In
attic.
the, so there's in the attic, then there's one who's gone
Yes,
through once,
exactly. And he's
who fights
intending
the
to
one
now
who's gone
go and
through.
record things, but it's already been done. So he now has to leave for the third one who has the recordings already.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that it actually
Yeah.
genuinely does click a little bit.
It actually
Uh,
clicks, and I mean, I didn't figure this all out by myself. Just by I had, as I said, guides and essays and timelines and stuff. But once you know this, it actually makes sense. Like once you know what's going on, you're like, okay, yeah, cool. Now it's the third one coming back with the recordings, and now the second one has to leave. And it obviously has to be him who is the narrator, because he says I left. So
yes.
he decides, he's like, okay, well, shit, now I've got nothing to do. I can't even record the conversations. So I think he calls original Aaron and leaves a voice message or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, for once everything is over, like once everything is over, the movie's finished. This is now when he calls and tells original Aaron, who has now no knowledge of anything. He's just
The
been
one who's
locked in the attic for 6 days, and he's like,
yes,
"What the
yeah,
fuck?"
yeah,
Like, what the hell happened here? He now gets an explanation from Hoodie Aaron, who's the second guy who was supposed to record the messages.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So the thing that's striking me right now is that I want to I want to watch it again, knowing this. Like,
Exactly, because the
I feel
first
like
time you know
that actually
nothing.
makes quite good sense to me now. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And then, so like the second time, I also want to watch it again because the second time I was like working this all out. But now I want to
Yes.
go and watch, and as you say, pick up on clues and like try and, see stuff knowing what you know. It's just like Blade Runner, I suppose, right?
Yeah, but
First time you watch
now
it.
the thing to that I really want to look out for is
Mm,
um, which Aaron are we watching the first time through the film?
no, exactly. Yeah.
That's I think
Yeah.
that'll be the
Yeah.
exciting thing to look out for.
Yeah. I think so. Because
Yeah.
we assume that it's the first time going through. But that's why I also said we've now just established that there's three Aarons. There's the original in the attic, the middle one, and the one with all the knowledge.
Yeah.
But you see, in the narration, that's the second Aaron speaking, and
Is
he
that the one who
says,
says? Is that the one who says goodbye to Abe at the end?
"No,
Because he
I
left,
don't
right?
think so. I think that so when the second Aaron, Hoodie Aaron, leaves the door, we never see him again. We only hear his narration,
Right.
and he says something like, um, "I stepped away because the third Aaron already has all the recordings, and he's now going to go and engineer that perfect moment."
Yes.
And the second Aaron says, sort of like, the only way I can live with myself is imagining that he gets it right the first time. Like he goes
Yeah.
back and with the recordings, he manages to engineer the moment and everything's cool. So he
Yes.
says, I hope it's only the one time. And then we see it being successful, but it might not have been one time. That Aaron might have gone back and said, okay, it didn't work. I'm going to go back and try something else. And he might have done this 20 times. For all we know, I mean,
Right.
obviously that gets really complicated, but so there are at least three Aarons, but there could be
But
4, 5, 6, 7 after that if the first run through doesn't actually work out.
yeah. But what you're saying is that middle Aaron, Hoodie Aaron, is hopeful that there are only three.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. He says,
Like
I know of three, and
that's
I
what's
hope
going to make
that's
me
all there
sleep at
is.
night. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So they do. He does reverse engineer the perfect moment, and Aaron, who you say is the third Aaron with the knowledge,
Yeah.
and Abe, who's come back, have farewell at the airport.
Yes. Yeah. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's the third Aaron because I think, they go and they do the whole party thing and they engineer the perfect
Yes.
moment. And then they're like, right, we've now engineered this moment. Our doubles are in the cupboards. We now need to leave. So they
And let
now go
them.
to the
Yeah.
airport and decide to leave or discuss leaving.
Yes. But so Abe's crisis at this point
Mm.
is he's left Abe, who doesn't have any time travel knowledge or abilities, with his family, and now
Yes.
Abe, who's gone back, has no family. So all he can do is
Yes.
stay and watch them.
Yes.
But he does say, in almost desperation, like they'll come back. So I'm wondering what that's about.
So,
Uh,
so because so I think we watched the same cut of the movie because the subtitles said they'll come back, but I sort of thought that he said don't come back. I thought he was saying to Aaron, "Don't come back. Like you've interfered enough.
right.
Don't come back and interfere with them." That's sort of what I thought was happening. I actually thought the subtitles were wrong in that scene.
Okay. Right. Well,
I mean,
I mean that was
because yeah,
my
I was trying to figure that out as well. Like, what does he mean by they'll come back? So I think that's
Yeah,
Maybe a mistake.
and obviously Aaron is saying like, um, you have no family, you can't do anything, so just come with
Yeah.
me and travel the world.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, which uh, Aaron does, and we find him in a
Yeah.
French-speaking country, and
Yes.
he's building a warehouse-sized machine.
Yeah, which I'm embarrassed to admit I didn't get that at all on the first viewing. I thought he'd sort of just gone and like assumed another life and like was in some French speaking country laying low, working some
Yeah,
job or whatever. But yeah, the second time I was like, oh, he's obviously making this massive time machine. Yeah.
which is, I guess, a terrifying thought, right?
Yes. Yeah.
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 Um,
But yeah, I think because for a lot of the movie as well, we sort of think because it's revealed to us that like Abe's got these, Abe went back and then sort of walked Aaron through all of this, and then Abe had the fail safe and everything. So we sort of see Abe making all of these plans, and you sort of think that he's trying to screw over Aaron, right? Like
yeah,
if everything goes to shit, I want to be able to go back and reset everything. But like in the end, I think we still see that Aaron's the one who's really morally ambiguous. And Abe is
absolutely.
actually really just, because then he's like, okay, you've interfered enough now. Stay away from them. I'm gonna like now make sure that they can just like live their
Yeah, I mean
ordinary
that was,
lives.
Abe's intention after they found
Right,
Mr. Granger.
right.
Is like, we have to go
Yes.
back and undo everything because
Yeah.
the consequences are too severe.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So the consequences actually get to him. He actually takes them seriously. Whereas Aaron's like, okay, well, we're in charge of this all. We control it. So what does it matter?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, well, I guess we can move into final thoughts on the
Yeah, I
film.
suppose so.
Um, so I'll just talk a little bit, kind of sum up everything that
Mm,
really I've said so far. Is that, yeah, I mean, it's a really incredible example of um, independent filmmaking and the advantages that you have by doing that. You have full creative control. You don't have producers breathing on your neck. But also on the flip side of that, it's really an incredible showcase of how like limitations can create. The obviously the phrase "diamonds are made under pressure," right? So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
limitations um,
Yes.
of budget can really create something
Right.
special. And I hope I've really laid out like how such a small budget affects like
Yeah.
almost every detail and everything, but how
Yeah.
that all adds up to this cumulative effect of,
They made a plan. They're like, okay, we don't have a budget, so
yes,
we've got to figure out some way to do this. Yeah.
yeah. But so there's a cumulative effect of all of that, of disorientation
Yeah.
and, yeah, not knowing when you are in the film.
Yeah.
And there's an incredible feeling of verisimilitude. I
Oh,
hate that word, by the
oh,
word.
no, oh, beautiful word. I
No, but
absolutely love that word.
I just it's a great word, and there's not really a better way to say what it
Yeah.
means. But it's just a little bit snooty to use it, I always think.
No, but it's an absolutely gorgeous word. I
Yeah,
can't believe that you managed to slip that in.
yeah. But the verisimilitude of the world, right? We don't have
Yeah.
obligations to dumb down anything, right? These are
Yeah.
scientists, and they speak like scientists, and they behave. Well, I hope they behave like bad scientists,
Well, they
because
behave
this is
like
not an.
engineers. Yeah.
Yeah, and just a word on the filmmaking, that this is a debut film by really an amateur filmmaker, and it displays like incredible formal control, real understanding of
Yeah.
the grammar of cinema, um, and the way it looks. I mean, so I was doing some research, and he said that he was laid out by a car crash for like a month. So he just
Oh,
ended up
okay.
watching old films on TV. And he cited a
Right.
film called All the President's Men, which, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's an
All the
all-time classic.
presidents, man.
All the President's Men, and
Okay. I think I've heard of it.
it's about Woodward and Bernstein, who are the journalists who uncovered the Watergate scandal, right? And
Okay.
it's the procedural of them uncovering that. and he said he was drawn to it because it's the drama is not like the actors doing all these big emotional things. The drama is the little details all coming together.
Right.
Um, it's the revelation that he says, and I think you can draw a real line between that, how that film looks, the way it shoots interiors and uses architecture, and how everything has this kind of flat cinematographic look. The parking lots feel really cold and sparse and everything,
Mm.
and the way that Kareth uses that here, as things get more horrifying, right, and
Right.
I guess bleak, and
Yeah.
the suggestions that are made by this technology that they discovered and their actions, it's
Yeah.
mirrored incredibly well in the style of the filmmaking
Okay.
and the cinematography
Yeah.
and everything. So that this is a debut film made so cheaply is really a
Yeah.
remarkable
I mean,
feat,
I knew
I
it was
think.
cheap, but I mean, when you told me it was $7,000, I mean, geez,
Yeah,
like I was like,
and
whoa.
mostly on film stock, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and for the subject matter, I mean, this is like science fiction catnip, right? It's a
Oh
puzzle
yeah,
film.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
desperate to figure it out and feel
And it's
smart, and
it, it's not like it's not begging for attention either. You know, like
no, no, no,
there
no.
are a lot of things which are sort of like, let's see how complicated a film we can make. You know, and like try and confuse the audience just for the hell of it, just by making it stupidly complex. Whereas this,
Yeah,
it's almost as if they, I mean, it sounds silly to say it after we've struggled so much with it, but it's like it's almost as simple as they could make it, you know, with the story that they wanted to tell.
yeah,
They haven't gone, they haven't made these like intensely complex lines and everything. They've just gone and shown exactly what would happen if this was all an actual thing.
yeah. But that's what I like about that
Mm.
is um, the implication that um, because even though it's so simple,
Yeah.
it's still like mind-boggling
Yes,
and can throw you
exactly.
around, and that's the science fiction theme of
Yeah,
messing with things that you don't understand, right?
exactly. Yeah. But it does
Right,
so effortlessly.
we understand the basic mechanic of how they
Yeah.
loop back around and go back in time,
Yes. Yes.
but what that suggests about the technology and the power
Yeah.
is the scary thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a real puzzle film, and sometimes people like to
Mm.
say puzzle films about things that aren't puzzle films, like people like say it about Inception or something, which is a really simple film to understand, and then you feel
Right.
like
Yeah.
like a 12-year-old can figure it out, but then it's presented in a way that you can kind of pat yourself on the
Yes.
back for figuring it out. But this is a
Right.
real puzzle film that
Yeah.
demands repeat viewings, and I
Yes.
think rewards repeat viewings.
Absolutely.
Uh,
I think so.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what about you? Do you have your final thoughts and your best and worst science
Yes.
moments?
Yeah. 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 So, I mean, I do have my best and worst science moment, I suppose. I mean, I think to start with my best science moment, what I really enjoyed, and I think it was Abe. He mentioned it at some stage. He said, in all equations in science, quantum mechanics, normal mechanics, whatever, there's one variable that you can make negative, and everything still works. So you know, normally if you took mass and you made it negative, the physics would change. Whereas time, if it flows forwards or it flows backwards, physics still follows the same laws. And there's a sort of interesting idea which I really love, which is we always say that I need to get this right. I think it's second law of the thermodynamics is that entropy increases in time, right? So as time goes on, entropy, the chaoticness of the universe, increases. But you can think of that in the other direction where you say that actually it's the other way around. As entropy increases, time increases. So you start with the universe in the Big Bang, which is minimal entropy, and the further it expands outwards, the more entropy it has. So time for us is flowing forwards. But if you now had a universe that's collapsing, you have the exact same thing, but time is flowing backwards. Um, so the universe is sort of designed, if you forgive my use of the word, in a way where time
Alarm bells are ringing.
exactly where you can sort of fast forward it and rewind it, and everything stays the same. And I think here they did that really well, especially with the fact that you still experience the length of time going backwards. So that's my favorite science moment, is that we used to the TARDIS or the DeLorean, you
Yeah,
get in it and you instantly, you not only travel in time, you travel faster than you ordinarily do, right? So we are always traveling forwards in time at a certain speed, but time machines always show you traveling at a different speed through time, whereas this one shows you traveling at the same speed. You've just changed the direction. That's all you've changed.
yeah,
And I think that's I mean, the way that they achieve it is obviously sort of quite fictional, but the mechanics behind how you might traverse time, they're not speeding time up at all. They're just changing the direction. It's like if you were to walk forwards, turn around, and walk backwards. You still have to cross that same distance in
yeah.
space. And here they still have to cross the same amount of time. So I really, really love that aspect of the time travel. I think that's really unusual. I can't think of another time travel movie that actually does that.
Yeah, and it also makes it much less appealing than if you had a
Exactly.
TARDIS or a DeLorean. Like, where would you
Exactly.
go
It's
back?
not
And
just yeah,
let's go back to
yeah.
Roman times. Like, okay, you wanna you wanna sit in there for
Right.
1,000 years, or
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly, exactly. It's not, you're not skipping through time, you're actually
yeah,
traveling through it.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's not like you're removing yourself and inserting yourself at another period. You're actually still traveling in time. Nothing's changed. You've just reversed the direction, which is entirely plausible.
yeah,
There is sort of an argument as well that the universe is actually collapsing. There wasn't a big bang. That's the end of the universe. But we have to experience time in the opposite direction. So we think that the universe is expanding because that's how we have to experience time. But there's an argument that it's actually collapsing. And from an outside perspective, time is flowing negatively. So I really love that. Then my worst science moment. I mean, it's not a worst science moment, but it's something which I sort of thought was maybe a little bit inconsistent. Is the killing off of a certain timeline. So they sort of showed with the phone call scene that what happens in the original timeline, if you go back and change it, that original timeline is null and void. But then the whole end of the movie is that no, they've come back and affected things in that original timeline, but now they have to actually leave their original versions alone in the original timeline. They can't replace them. So I almost thought that it would obviously be quite a big step for them, especially Abe. But the more logical reason, the more logical thing to do would be to actually kill your double or somehow remove them, replace them. So they came back, and the ones who had traveled in time said, okay, we can't. We have to. The originals have to stay in their lives. We have to remove ourselves. But I'm like, okay, so if you've gone through all of this, you've done the whole failsafe, you've been so passionate about this, it means so much. I don't know why you could. The film established that you could get rid of the original timeline, get rid of the original Abe, the original Aaron. They don't have to get in the box at some stage because you are already there. You get rid of them, you force them out of their lives, and you take their place. I mean, it might be a little bit of a psychotic thing to suggest, but
yeah,
it sounds, I think there was sort of a slightly open end, is that they were suddenly very interested in preserving the way things were with the original timeline because they've messed it up too much. But they could have very easily replaced themselves and lived out their lives in that original timeline. Because I was also thinking, they've gone and done this whole heroic moment, and then they wake up from the cupboard in the attic, and those versions of them don't know that they've done this.
well, that's the
So
call, right? That's
yeah, I
that's the
suppose
call.
that's the call, exactly. But I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I was thinking, I was like, it would be easier, I think, to just, if you're going to affect everything, then you replace the original version of yourself. So it wasn't a bad science moment. I mean, the science in this film was quite quite spot on, I'd say. But
Yeah.
that's got to be it for me. Yeah.
All right. Well, I suppose I have one final question
Mm,
for the both of us, really,
right.
is do we now understand Primer?
um, I think I understand it a lot more than I did the first time. Right. Um,
Absolutely.
I think I can. I think I would be able to. I mean, we have now gone and analyzed it and talked about it,
Yeah.
but I do think it's the sort of movie where you're not really supposed to understand it, right?
You're going
Um,
to have a different reaction on different
exactly,
viewings. Yeah.
exactly. You know, it's like I keep mentioning Blade Runner. It's like, oh no, this time I'm convinced he's a replicant, and this time I'm convinced he's a human. You know,
Yeah.
I think going and watching this again, you're going to be like, oh no, you see, he said it like that. Therefore, I think he's this version of Abe, or whatever. So yeah, I agree with that. I think every time you watch it, you're gonna pick up something more. You're gonna unlock some extra layer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to go on a limb with yes.
Ah. Okay.
I'm going to say I understand it after this conversation.
Okay.
Um,
Right. Yes.
Understanding the different errands, the three errands,
Yes.
in the last 15 minutes of the film, I think that's the key for me.
Yeah.
And I don't think I don't think um, knowing which errand is which in the early part of the film is key to understanding it. Right?
Right. No.
It's just
Exactly.
it's an interesting wrinkle.
Exactly. It's you should recognize that it could be a different version of
Yes,
Aaron, but it doesn't actually matter because they're all doing the same thing at that point in
and
the film.
yeah, that it could be is kind of the point. That's kind of
Yes. Yeah.
the
Exactly.
cautionary tale of it all, I suppose.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I do agree as well. I have sort of unlocked several confusing things that were still on my list from this conversation. So yeah,
yeah,
obviously sharing thoughts helps.
yeah. I definitely feel confident enough to watch with a first timer. And
Yes, I think I
if
can
they
do that
pause and
exactly.
if
Yeah.
they want to pause and discuss, and I'll be like, no, actually, it means this and that. And, I have confidence in
Yeah,
that.
exactly, exactly.
But yeah, I mean,
Gonna go and subject a few people to some watching this. Yeah.
well, I'm gonna try. Definitely gonna try.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so.
yeah, that was Primer, 2004, directed by Shane Carruth. Um, Thanks for listening. Do like, subscribe, comment wherever you are. Um, any support of any kind helps us grow. And if you want to have a debate with us in the comments, I'm sure we'll be up for it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, do get in touch. Do whatever you need to do. And we will be back next Monday discussing the final two episodes of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. And we'll be, yeah, reviewing and recapping those episodes and giving our thoughts on season one as a whole. So, yeah, we will see you then. And as always, live long and prosper.